Hey, Michael Ray here.
And I'm Dani Ray.
We wrote an original musical.
But not an original title for our musical.
It's entitled The Event, A Musical Journey.
And you are listening to Gathered by the Ghostlight.
All right, welcome back to Gathered by the Ghostlight. I'm Jonathan Cook, your host, producer, and sometimes voice actor on this thing.
And I'm Devin McSherry, musical theater enthusiast.
Yes, she is. So we're doing something a little different on this episode. For one, we are recording and filming on location right here at the Chat Noir Theater. You guys you've heard us talk about this theater a lot on previous episodes. We've done events here and stuff. And so today we're right here in the lobby of the theater, and we have two super awesome guests with us. We have composer Michael Ray and his wife, Dani Ray, and they are here to tell us about a new musical that they wrote together. So Michael and Dani, thank you for joining us. So glad you're here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, so the musical they wrote is it's called The Event, A Musical Journey, and they're going to share some songs with us today from that musical. But before we dive into that, give us a little bit more about you. We want to learn a little bit before we dive into this. So what is your kind of background in theater and music leading up to the point that you wrote your own musical together?
I basically cut my teeth here in Augusta. I moved here in 2003. I came here to do a music therapy internship at the VA. That's my undergrad is in music therapy, and ended up sort of in the education world and therefore teaching music, and then ended up doing lots and lots of musicals at Augusta Prep and then here at Le Chat. In total, probably more than 40 musicals as the musical director. And then we moved to Savannah in 2014, and I kind of continued the same thing in Savannah. And then in 2020, during the pandemic, we moved to Knoxville, Tennessee. And I always knew in the back of my mind that eventually I wanted to maybe explore writing a musical myself, but never had time. I was just so busy doing other people's musicals. And then I ended up going to UT, University of Tennessee, to finish a master's degree in music composition. And for the thesis, I decided to write a musical. So that was that was sort of the kick I needed to actually do it and complete it.
What about you, Dani? You wrote the book and lyrics to this musical that you guys did together. So give us a little bit more about you and your theater background.
So it took some convincing, actually, to pull me in because Michael was so busy with his grad program and was going to be even busier with his thesis. And so it took me a while to come around to the idea of both parents being like full in it with this musical. But I'm really glad I did. I saw many of the 40 plus shows that he put on as music director, and I was in a few of them, Avenue Q, Dr. Horrible. And so I'm also an enthusiast, and I have mostly been a writer I've written a lot of different kinds of things in my career, grant writer, feasibility studies, essays for tourist magazines, just really random things, actually. And the idea of writing for something like this was exciting.
And so your thesis as a student for your graduation was to put together this musical, which and you also did something very cool that you made a kind of you recorded all the music yourself with a phenomenal cast, and you created this kind of short film, kind of a proof of concept thing. Tell us what went into creating that short film for this musical and how that came to be.
Yeah, so originally we were going to do this as a stage production, and my thesis advisor strongly encouraged me to maybe think about doing it in a different way. I did a video, part of my application getting into grad school, I had to do a video example of me teaching. And I ended up teaching myself in the video, like another version of myself. But I did it all fancy with like green screens. And, they were really impressed. It was like the coolest intro video they'd ever seen, and they still talk about it. And so he knew I had some video skills, and he thought, why not try doing this in a different way where it might have legs, act almost like a business card or a proof of concept where you can show people what your skills are, what you can do.
So before we dive into these songs, give us sort of the overall synopsis of the musical itself. Just the general pitch it to us. Well, what's this musical about?
I think we were calling it an eco sci-fi song cycle movie, which is so ridiculous. But I'm a big Carl Sagan fan, and I think our philosophies are really similar. And so I do a lot of thinking about how humans interface with the planet and what our responsibilities are. And I wanted to tell a story that sort of asked questions in that vein. And so our story is sort of, it takes place as these people are coming together to set off an event that's going to change life on Earth forever, irreversibly. And then we get to in the beginning we get to see their doubts, their fears, them convincing themselves that it's the right thing because we're at the point of no return. And then we get to see the fallout through different vignettes.
All right, so let's dive into the first song. The opening track is called The Drinking Song. Now, this is the first song people hear when they experience this musical. So, one of you guys kind of verbally set the stage for us. What is happening in this scene? Is there anything that we need to know beforehand?
So the opening scene actually takes place in this bar, which is kind of interesting. And, the audience is immediately sort of introduced to a group of people having a great time singing and drinking, hence the drinking song.
Very creative.
Yeah. And they're obviously singing about some kind of event that we have yet to understand, but hopefully we will get more information on. So it's a little confusing, but you can tell that they're hearkening back to something. There is one character that you'll notice that doesn't seem to be as happy as the rest.
All right, so this is the first track, The Drinking Song, and if you're watching on YouTube, we actually have a clip of the short film that they put together for this song. So, here you go. So that was The Drinking Song. Very, very calm, soothing opening track. I really like the opening piano keys there. It sounds like a nice central theme to the overall story. So I see what you're saying about the mystery of the event because they are singing about something, and I like that kind of that the audience doesn't really know yet what's happening. Do you have any more insight on this track? They mentioned the Kessler, so tell us what that is in reference to.
Okay, yeah.
As they look at each other and decide who's going to speak.
I would love to take this, actually.
Go ahead.
Okay,
sure.
so Don Kessler was a NASA scientist, was a NASA scientist in 1978. He came up with the idea that, and they called it the Kessler syndrome or the Kessler effect, that, we're putting all this space trash up there. It's going to be a problem at some point, right? So my brother's an engineer, and he had to do a presentation in one of his classes, and he did it on the Kessler syndrome. And so he was explaining it to me over drinks one night, and I was like, wow, that's a fascinating idea. And so we took the science and we took some fiction, and we were like, it's a Kessler event, right? And it's not just an environmental condition that's a problem. We're actually going to induce an event because we think that the world is on fire anyway, and it's maybe our only shot. Sorry. And I should also maybe say that Michael got super coffeed up one day and called up Don Kessler and talked to him on the phone. Yeah, he was like, "Well, sir, we wrote a musical, that kind of it was inspired by your ideas."
We wrote a musical about you, and
yeah, he's 84 years old. He's still sharp as a tack. And,
wow.
I talked to him. I was coffeed up, and I talked to him on the phone, and he's watched it. He's listened to it. He really likes the music. He was pretty quick to say the science.
Not sure exactly.
That's your realm.
Right. Yeah. But he is an environmentalist, and he really appreciates the concept of the story, and really likes the music. So we were like, I wanted to call him just to give him a heads up that we did a musical and his name is in it, and we've loosely used his science, and so.
But I mean, how did you get that phone number? Like,
right?
What was the steps in getting
Now
that?
everybody's going to go get his number.
Yeah, you don't have to give it out on this podcast.
It is on his website.
It was like, I was like,
And that's on him then.
I was like, I wonder how easy he would be to contact, this NASA scientist, and like on his website, it's like, here's my home phone number, here's my cell phone, here's my. So
that's awesome.
I actually left a message on his like answering machine, and he called me back, and it was, he's awesome. He's very cool. We've talked a couple of times now, and he's into it. He's totally into it. Yeah.
And he's been trying to get this message out for years.
Yeah.
And he was telling Michael, he was like, I've been doing this. I've been telling people that, it's the road that we're headed down. So I really appreciate that perspective. It kind of like, I was like, oh my God.
All right. So speaking of Kessler, the name of the next song is called Kessler. And this is where we kind of learn about what the event is, right? This is where things actually happen. And on a personal note, this is my favorite track.
It's
very good.
The actress Audrey Robertson, I really love her voice in this.
Right?
Like, it's right at the start. It's so. This track is what makes it for me. It makes you want to, keep listening to the whole thing, because it was so well put together, and the voices are just amazing. So give us some. So set the stage for this song. What's happening in this song right here?
Okay. So this group of folks, we put them in the northern Indian Ocean. They're young, and they're looking around at the world and thinking, we're basically toast here. And it feels like there's nothing we can do about it. But they have actually decided to take things into their own hands and set off this rocket, which will hopefully induce a Kessler event, which will mean that humanity is now stuck on the planet. There is no planet B. We cannot get off. The billionaires, there's no escape route, right? But you see them in this moment right before it happens. It's kind of Les Mis for me. There's something very Les Mis about just like that longing,
Revolution.
Yes, revolution and longing and
gravity.
sadness and knowing that things aren't going to be the same. And you catch them in this moment where they doubt, right? They're not going through with this like, oh, here we go, we're doing this thing. It's like, oh my God, are we really about to take this on? But as they're talking through it or singing through it, they become more convinced that this is the road that they have to take.
Very cool. All right, so let's check out this track. This one's called Kessler.
My friends, we are gathered here at last to execute this onerous task. We must cut humanity off from the stars. We must break our own hearts. What good is this species on Mars, transforming lifeless rock into this garden which we've dishonored and depraved? So very little left unscathed.
on the world again. It hardly matters where I've been, waiting for this moment all this time.
Finally, you can see me, and you know that I see you. There's nothing else to do right now but love you. You got me and I've got you, waiting for this moment all this time. One moment forged in the fires of 40,000 years, all that's here, all that's ever been. We're all aboard, the future's beginning today. Now I'm here, I won't delay this one shot here in the sky. All we've got into this flight. Please be aligned, stars beyond our sight. Just one shot, give it everything we've got. One shot here in the sky. All we've got into this flight. Stars be aligned, the target we've assigned.
This one shot, give it everything we've got. To save us from
Our kind.
All right, that was the song Kessler. Is there any more to say about that one? That one's, like I said, I love that track.
I guess musically, I think the chorus specifically, it has this big octave leap right off the bat. The one shot. We were kind of actually trying to sort of paint that picture visually of like something going up.
And also, one shot it's just a little bit of a nod to a post-Hamilton world. You know, where you're like,
There it
I'm
is.
going to
There it
write a
is.
musical.
I'm
and
gonna
like,
shoot my shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Hamilton's out there, and you're like, I can't write a music. You know, it's just like
It's
just like
true.
recognition of that. Also, I can't remember exactly what it was, but there's something about the music that it's like it's mirrored or flipped in a certain way, which I really loved because, you know, it's kind of split down the middle because there's one moment that's happening, right? But we're seeing it from two very different perspectives. And, you know, these people think that something's going to happen and these people don't know it's going to happen and they're being optimistic about their futures. And, you know, these guys are like, oh God, look, you know. So it's
Yeah.
looking at a single moment from all these different perspectives, which we're always doing, especially now.
Which was it was a tough sell initially without the visuals. The shift from down on the ground to the spaceship, it's a big shift musically. Like it's a modal shift. Like we go from minor to like this major sound. And without the visuals, I think a lot of people were like, "Whoa, this is
What
really
just
abrupt."
happened?
What just
Yeah.
And I'm like, "It's musical theater. This happens all the time."
Yeah.
But I will justify it visually. I promise.
This next track is called Sauce Is.
Don't mispronounce my
Sauces.
favorite song, okay, sir? It
Tell us how it's pronounced.
is SOSISS.
All right, it's called SOSISS. So
Michael insisted, okay?
Sauce is. I don't know. Yeah.
all right, so set the stage for this upcoming song here and tell us what's happening in this track.
Okay, so right at the end of the Kessler event, the rebels on the beach, they send a rocket up, but they also send an SOS signal. you hear this doot, 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 which doesn't actually spell out SOS, spells out something else, but it's a message nonetheless.
Is it a dirty word? Did you like sneak in a?
I mean, sometimes mama is used in a, no, but
All right.
it does spell out, it spells out mama. Not necessarily on purpose, but I thought it was cool because it kind of ties in the Mother Earth theme.
Okay.
But we're calling that the SOS signal. So SOS ISS. So immediately the music takes over. You hear this dun 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 dun, and that is the SOS signal. And they are on the International Space Station. So that's the ISS. So SOS ISS. So the comms person is listening to this message, and we're getting basically his internal dialogue. Like there's turmoil there because he's receiving a message. We find out he's somehow in on this, and he's receiving a message and knows that something bad is about to happen to the ship.
But I felt like it was important for the person up there receiving the message to actually know that
it meant.
Yeah, to know what it meant. Like he says, "Man the walls, mind the gates." He's waiting to hear that, and then he knows, like, okay, it's go time, right? And so someone else, an astronaut, is in line with the thinking of the rebels on the ground and is willing to sacrifice himself for this cause.
All right, well, let's take a listen to this track. SOS ISS is what it's called.
Man the walls, mind the gates. It's the signal I've awaited. What will they say when they hear this is the end? Here they thought I was their friend. The truth hurts, but it matters if reversed. I'd want answers, but then again, we're all dead anyway, and I can spare them all some pain. And they hear the There's nowhere to run.
Needed the call. It's what we trained for. Might lose it all. No, it's not what we deserve. But as long as there's a chance for us, we will work through this as one. We may yet be spared the guns. Can you hear the
There's nowhere to run.
right, man the walls, mind the gates. I could hear that theme throughout that track there. Very, very nice and very well done. Anything else to say on that track?
I think I want to say that Michael's been kicking around with that song since his rock band days, like My Instant Lunch. Like he took it to the band and they didn't get a full consensus on playing it. I mean, not this exact song, but sort of the bones of it. Mm-hmm. And so he's been jamming on it for 15 years since that. And my brother gets in there, he plays the drums, like they jam on it. And then he was like, I think we need to pull this in.
All right, so just to get some background info on this, you used to play in a band called My Instant Lunch.
Correct.
And you tried to bring some of this composition as a song to the band. And
yeah. So, My Instant Lunch voted Augusta's best band in 2010. 2010. Yeah. Oh, God, I'm old. I brought this to them, and we really enjoyed jamming on it. It just, for some reason, it never took off. And it, Jonathan, you can probably relate to this. You've probably written some stuff that like you haven't used, but you just can't let go of. Like it always,
totally.
And I knew I was like, I'm never letting this go. Like it will be used for something.
I'm glad you didn't let it go because I love that song.
Thank you.
Because look where it's at now. It's
It's where it
it's in a world famous musical. So
That's right.
all right. So now the next track is called Duet. This, from what I understand, is a kind of the reaction of everyone still on Earth to what has happened and what this rebel group did to the planet. So give us, you got any more insight on this song before we dive into it?
Yeah, it felt like we had to check in with the people on the ground at some point, and this is our opportunity to do that.
All right. This track is called Duet.
What they were after.
Living trapped inside a nightmare of endless failures. The buck never stops. Took all the open doors for granted, and now we're finding that all of them lock. And here we are still, deep in fuel on the fire. There's nothing much more one person can do. So what is the point? I can't save this sailing planet. Why have a voice that I can't use? I'm throwing my hands up, I'm voting tonight. Why should I try? Feel lost, nothing is right. Why should I try? Trapped inside a nightmare of endless failures. The boat never stops. Took all the open doors for granted, and now we're finding that all of them lock. And here we are still, deep in fuel on the fire. There's nothing much more one person can do. So what is the point? I can't save this sailing planet. I have a voice that I can't use. I'm throwing my hands up.
Big skies are born alive. Electrify. We're found. This ground is worth the fight. Can't just stand try. We're
Feel lost.
this ground
Nothing is right. Why should I try when it'll never be enough?
All right, that was Duet. Very, very, love the voices in that. Great stuff. And as we're hearing kind of how the rest of the planet's reacting to what's happened in this event. Musically, what else do you have to throw in on this one?
So before I even knew what our concept was going to be for this song, I knew that musically I wanted to pay a little bit of homage to Dr. Horrible's.
Okay.
And I think you all appreciate that. And it's funny, I'm blanking on the name of the song. I think it's On the Rise or In Your Eyes. My Eyes. Is that it? My Eyes. Yeah. So the two characters in that song are singing opposing views, essentially Dr. Horrible and Penny.
Yeah.
And it's very similar. Like he's very negative and she's very optimistic. And I've always, Dani has too, been attracted to counterpoint. Like when two voices are like smashed on top of each other and it's like they're working against each other, but also together in harmony and it's like magical. So I really I wanted to seek trying to do something like that. And so that's kind of how the idea for the style came. And then she kind of threw the concept in there of.
Well, and it felt like counterpoint was an appropriate way to go because it really does feel like a negotiation between not just the way that some people feel and the way that other people feel, but I honestly, I have both of those people inside, right? I have angst and I have opportunity. I have like the sunny side and I have the dark side, and they're always negotiating, to decide how I'm feeling, right? And what I'm doing. And so, counterpoint felt like a good way for them to have that conversation.
Yeah, it definitely comes through.
Being able to feel those emotions probably helps you kind of put these lyrics together. And
Often, we kind of had two ways we did it. Sometimes I would just send her over a melody with chords and she would come back with amazing lyrics.
Okay.
And sometimes I would kick things off with like my terrible lyrics and
be like, edit these, see what happens.
Yeah.
Make something out of it.
So it was kind of, I don't know, was it half and half on that way? Or I don't know.
Yeah, this was one of the ones that he sort of started filling things in and wanted to light a fire under me and being like, oh, no, we have to fix all this, whatever. I really did. I do like working directly from the music because I feel like it tells me exactly what I need to say.
Yeah,
I just have to.
Yeah, music absolutely communicates.
Well, it sounds like you guys had a lot of fun putting it together. And speaking of fun, I know you guys, this next track, I know you guys must have had a lot of fun putting this one together. Is called Puppetitions. And, every musical has their sort of fun section. And that's, a variety of music in musicals is really kind of what sells it to where it's not just all the same tone the whole time. And this is kind of where you have your climax of fun in this play,
right?
Where you have the politician's perspective now, which in this case you call it puppetitions. And in your short film that people can see, these characters are actually puppets singing these songs. So I'm curious if this is staged. Do you imagine these characters being puppets? Since it is called Puppetitions, but then again, Puppetitions could also be like a play on, politicians, puppetitions.
Right.
Yeah,
whether they're puppets
they
or not,
are
they're still
puppets,
puppets.
They are, yeah.
Exactly.
I think, speaking of contrast, like in the music, I think the contrast between the characters we met and like suddenly having puppets and then them also being the politicians, I think it's just like such a great, like almost like release.
Yeah.
Like you almost immediately laugh and you're like, yes.
That's what I did.
Yeah. It's like,
this is how the politicians would react.
yeah. And like how else can you present politicians in sort of a neutral way. Like, you're not really presenting like one side or the other, but just the fact that like they can't always get it done. Like we can do better. So we kind of came to the conclusion. I sort of started just playing this melody on the piano, and it just stuck, and it kind of had this like circusy kind of, and it was almost like we were psychic with each other, and we were like, what if it was? And she's like, puppets. Oh my god!
Yeah. I love puppets. I think that even an amateur puppeteer, right, like can get a puppet and have him like zoom this way and zoom that way and cock his head, and it's funny, right? Yeah. It's just it's not that hard to make puppets do funny things.
Yeah, and like you said, this is that moment in the musical where things just kind of contrast to what we've already seen.
Yeah,
all the seriousness of this event, and Earth's perspective and their reactions to what's going on, and then we have this fun little tune called Puppetitions.
Yeah,
here it is.
People of these United States, these terrorists would annihilate our way of life. Be assured it is our top priority to find those responsible and retaliate swiftly. Take comfort in knowing that your president and Congress are working for you. We'll throw all of our resources into finding a solution so that normal life can and will resume.
This changes everything.
Does it really? So we've lost contact with our carrier groups overseas. Our covert agents are hung out to dry, and international trade is an impossibly complicated snarl. What's new? The podcast I listen to every morning is through the BBC. Does that mean... Oh my God, my flat in Paris! How am I gonna talk to the cleaning lady? And who's gonna water my succulents? Oh. Sometimes justice just isn't. Back to business, gang! Boy, it's good to be a guy like me. Living it up outside reality. It's a dream, you see. They could do better if they voted for someone different, but they never find a fella quite like me.
This event is primetime numbers with equal opportunity. I'm working up a speech that'll make the public weep, and all the votes will be for me. Chaos tends to fill the coffers. This will probably be the same. Let's give them quite a show, but we'll cane the status quo. Man, we kick ass at this game.
Boy, it's good to be a guy like me, living it up outside reality. They could do better if they voted for someone different, but they'll never find a fella quite like me.
Gentlemen, sirs! Bastards!
I just rigged the voter map, please note. Will do. Trap those I do not like so they can vote. People, please don't think your district's in the sink. It's good old-fashioned gerrymandering.
Gentlemen, I've been waiting here all day.
Who's she?
I've got some important things to say.
Busy.
If we don't find a way to care for Planet A, we'll wind up in the 13th century.
Boy, it's good to be a guy like me, living it up outside reality. They'll do better when they vote some women in, but until then, bra heads up to. This ain't no problem. Until then, bra heads up to. This ain't no problem. But until then, bra heads up to you and me.
All right, now that is a song that can get stuck in your head, and I really love the opening singer, that low bass voice, very nice, very smooth,
very resonant.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Would it ruin it if I said that the guy that recorded that bass part for me is 18 years old and a freshman in college?
Oh my
gosh. He is a vocal major, and he's a bass, obviously.
Yeah.
And he specifically asked if he could come over at 8 a.m. to record that.
So he had the wake up morning voice.
Yeah, he's got it, but he really wanted to make sure he had it. So
he had it.
He had it. Yeah.
Oh man, he's just gonna get better and better.
Oh yeah. So he hasn't even hit his peak yet. So, but he was fantastic.
Nice. All right, so this the next track is called Extra Extra. I also think this was a fun little tune.
Different style.
Yes.
Yeah, I love the different styles throughout this whole musical, and this one really has a nice little dance beat to it. So give us set the stage for this, and let us know what's going on in this song.
I think we kind of in our minds we married the Puppetitions and Extra Extra, both thematically, but also these are the two light songs of the show. Like even though they're actually talking about things that are kind of serious, they feel light, and it's sort of the one moment of like respite, or like it's the one place we give the audience a chance to just like smile and have a good time. All the other songs are so like serious and dramatic,
and yet they're so imbued with commentary. Like those are the two that are like, they're kind of searing indictments of the whole system, right? But we made them fun, so maybe you don't notice as much. I don't know.
You don't
sneak that message
They're
through.
fun, so you don't notice this message. You're soaking into your brain.
It's subliminal.
I'm happy, but I'm not.
Yeah, I think it was one of the first things actually that we thought we wanted to do was just kind of rail against like money and the system of money and how everything's about money and quarterly earnings, and like it's ruining all of these industries, right? And so we felt kind of strongly about that, and then Michael came up with this super fun, kind of Latin-esque hook, and we were like, okay.
I always wanted to write. I always did as a chorus teacher. We always did literary competition, so I always had a girls trio and a boys quartet, and I got the quartet itch out on the Puppetition song, but I always wanted to write like a girls trio kind of piece. This ended up being two girls and a guy, and then the challenge musically on this one for me, I wanted to find a reason to challenge myself, was to take weird chords that don't normally go together and try and make a melody that feels accessible. So hopefully I did that.
All right, well, let's take a listen. This track is called Extra Extra.
There's a contract we all sign.
At first it kind of looks benign.
Then it seems we're on the line.
Yeah, we're hooked by it.
It's some crooked shit. Something out of nothing, yeah.
Pulling it out of thin air.
Got to be a billionaire, or you're not making it.
He's just faking it.
But it's dead. Money is taking, money is reaping all that you can. Bank the money is fake, but honey, we'll keep it all in a can. Rake the money and shake it, sunny, and bleed them into a pan. Money's phony, it's shit baloney, it burns a hole in your head. Extra, extra. It's no paper in this roller.
Just exists, don't you dare resist.
Extra, extra.
It's no paper
just exists. Don't you dare resist.
All right, that track was Extra Extra. And do you happen to have any extra insight you can give us about that musically on on that song?
I see what you did there. Yeah, you know, I tried to find, and Dani did too in the lyrics, but I tried to find ways to connect themes musically. And so it kind of harkens back to the end of the Kessler event song where you hear the Morse code signal, da, 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 and then immediately in SOS ISS you hear the da, 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 da. And then in Extra, the very beginning, you hear the dun 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 da 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 da.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of a way to like tie them all together, and it's, you know, it's kind of a cry for help too. Extra Extra is. And there are other little like Easter eggs, I think, throughout the music, but those are probably the most like pronounced.
All right, we're getting close to the end. So up next is the ceremony song. That's what this one's called. So what's happening in this scene that you can tell us?
So we didn't give any of this information, but it's basically like a fast forward to a planet that is, you know, it's dying, and the people there know it. They've been left behind, right, in a lot of different ways. I actually saw something on Instagram, of course, the other day that articulated sort of how I feel about this song, and it's like, it says, everyone is so concerned about, like, you know, what if we were to go into the past and change this small thing, and then it, you know, changes our present and the future, blah, blah, blah. Why is nobody thinking about how if we make small changes now, we could alter the future, right? And I was just like, oh, God, that's so profound. And I think the sentiment of that song, right, is that, like, well, here we are, right? We've got nowhere to go. We know that this is the end, and what are we going to do? We're just gonna be grateful that we're still here, you know.
Carry on.
Yeah, and carry on.
All right, well, let's take a listen. This is the ceremony song.
One shot through the night, fire the reply. Skyfall rid the world of darkness, hides a night sky full of stars. Skyfall rids the world of darkness and shows us what we really are.
one shot through the night. Fire the reply. Skyfall rid the world of darkness. Hides a night sky full of stars. Skyfall rid the world of darkness and shows us what we really are.
Life force that remains, spirit that we seek, keep them safe from harm.
Bring us just another day.
Keep oblivion at bay. Oh, light of the dawn, let us dream of the song of the birds that would sing as each day was renewed, and life as it was, such a glorious song, out of sight, but not out of mind. A few are left with certain memories of everything, everything. Before it all burned in our fires, it was everything, but everything.
A few are left with certain memories of everything, everything. Help me understand all that came before. How far have we fallen down? Is there hope for us this day? Was there ever any way? The light of the dawn, could it bring back the song of the birds that would sing as each day was renewed, and the earth as it was? What a world to have lost out of sight, but not out of
to the sound of bird song. Our days still renew, so what else can we do but give thanks?
Oh, light of the dawn, we will carry the song
our song we will sing, for we are still
All right, that was the ceremony song, and so this track is a bit of a fast forward, like you said, into what has happened. So you have this future generation reflecting back on this event. You have anything more to say about this track, either of you?
I guess I would just say we didn't explain this, but I don't want people to feel like this time on Earth, fast forwarded, things are not going well, that it's an indictment of the Kessler event per se. The Kessler event was an attempt to change the course, and it didn't work for whatever reason, right? We saw the publications, we saw the people arguing, it just didn't work. And so this was sort of the inevitable end that we were moving toward all along. We did try to indicate that some with the trio hardening into rock, right? Like over a pretty great period of time, although we didn't really establish exactly how much time it was.
I imagine it takes a really long time for things to turn into rock.
A week or two.
Musically, this one happened on the piano pretty quickly, and it was a melody I kept coming back to. We both thought it was really pretty. It felt like it was going to be sort of the what do you call it, like the 11 o'clock number, it just felt like it had the heart. But we just sat on it and sat on it and sat on it. And she was wise.
I sat on it and sat on it.
She was wise, though, because we knew that this was a really important moment in the show. She wanted to wait to write the lyrics until we really knew what the show was, which was smart. So it kind of drove me crazy because I was like, I want to get this, done, but she was really wise about that. But that the theme of that chorus is actually the beginning theme that we hear as we're entering through the window of the Kessler. It's also the final theme we hear as we're leaving. So it kind of creates this nice circularity.
Very cool.
And it's such a melancholy theme too. And one of the things that they ask in the ceremony song is like, they're talking about how they're near the end and things are not good, but there is one question in there, like, could it come to live again? Like there's just a tiny seed of hope that like, what if things did turn around? What if things are headed in the right direction? So that's what it makes me think of.
All right, so let's move on into the last track. This one's called the Narrator Song, which I don't think we've talked about this yet, but so I know in the short film you have this recurring character who happens to be in every scene, and this is sort of the everyman narrator. That's sort of his position in this play. So tell us about him and moving into this final song, and so I'm assuming this final song is his overall thoughts about what all has happened over the course of time.
I was saying from the get-go, I would really like for someone, maybe the main person, to sit down at the piano and just pour out their hearts, like have a confessional moment. You don't typically see musical theater folks like sit down at a piano, right, and do that thing. And it felt intriguing to me. And so it sort of developed the idea of him just sort of bearing his soul. And he has a big moment right before this, which sort of gives away the twist. But like he's realizing his role in the whole thing. He's recognizing his guilt. We're seeing it now for what it is. And in the like resulting darkness, he turns, and the one thing that he can see is the piano. And it's like the only thing left. It's his only connection to his humanity, really, is that he can sit there and he can play the piano and tell us how he's feeling.
Let's give it a listen. This is the Narrator Song.
Seeing the night sky first time. Twilight still ushered by this technicolor glow, illuminating the hell below. All that ever was lost, unbearable cost. Still can't believe that everything we knew is gone, unreachable. And here they come again, these memories that I can't shake. And here I go again, reliving the risks I failed to take. What I wouldn't give to go back and live in all of the world around me, surrounding us all, to see with open eyes what's now so clear. When at peace at night I dream in greens and blues, life ablaze, still hope of finding something new. There's a warmth that's there that keeps me from the truth, and that dream the only place where I find you. Oh, please don't take me from this dream I dream. Please don't try to wake me now. When at peace at night I feel my hope renewed. Please don't take me from this world I knew. Take me from this dream I dream. Please don't try to wake me now. When at peace at night I feel my hope renewed. Please don't take me from this world I knew.
All right, that was the final track of The Event, A Musical Journey. That was the narrator's song. Is there anything else to say musically about that last track that we heard or anything?
So that was actually the first song that I wrote for the musical, and I thought it was going to be the first song of the musical, in which I envisioned something completely different, where someone was on like a ghost ship, and like it was like being rowed at like a very like upbeat
Steady
pace,
clip.
like and that was actually the pace of it. It was like
Except that you handed it to me and said, make lyrics for this, and that was not the pace. So what came out was the narrator's song. And he was like, well, he sang it to his credit, and he actually sounded really good singing it, I think. And then he was like, I don't like it. So he shelved it. And it sat there for months and months and months. And then we were working on this, and we were looking at the holes, and we were like, the narrator's he's gotta come in here and say something at some point. And oddly, I guess because I was so serious about the perspective I wanted to convey, it happened to work perfectly for our narrator, who was
kind of serendipitous
eaten up
moment.
with guilt and regret and
And
pain
it turned from
and
a
loss.
rowboat into a spaceship. Love it.
Well,
and sometimes that happens.
she also mentioned that like we forgot all about it. So like we were searching for this song. Like we were actually searching not for this song. We were just searching for this feeling that the narrator
right song.
And I was like, oh, we did like that song that I wrote first. Didn't we do like I can't remember. We did a version, and
Like
I just happened to open up. I had like a million versions of what we called like narrator. And I just happened to click on this one, and it was really slow. It was this exact version, just my voice. And we were both like, "Oh my god, this is
darn.
this is it," you know. So that one almost was lost completely. It was kind of lucky, yeah.
I'm glad you found it.
Yes.
Now, in regards to the short film that you made, you actually did a screening here, and you had I was here that night. The audience, it was just the full house, people in every single seat in there. And then at the end of it, you invited feedback to get thoughts. Since you kind of consider this sort of a work in progress, you're still doing things with it. Did you get any valuable feedback that's going to help you kind of sculpt this to where you further want it to be? Or
That was such a great night. Yes, it was mostly about the book.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, "Oh, the music is so great. That music is so great." So good for you, right?
You contributed to the music.
Yeah, no, I did. But a lot of it is like, okay, you need to reorder or flesh out or follow characters or something. And I had some very stringent ways that I was looking at it. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do that. So mostly what we've heard is we really, there's got to be more story there. So I think if we do decide to do a song cycle, but especially to do like a short musical, if we were to stage it, we would have to rework it for sure. I feel like the music can just stay the way it is, like
oh yeah, the music
or at
is
least the
fantastic.
first version of the.
And everyone listening, I know you heard pretty much all the songs, but if you want to go watch the short film they put together, it does have connecting pieces between the songs, the sort of the book that you wrote. And so do you have a link for where people can find that short film? I know you got a website and all
Sure,
that.
yeah. I mean, the easiest way to find it is on our website, mrmrproductions.com, mrmrproductions.com. And as soon as you open it up, boom, the link to the YouTube for the film is there. You can find it on YouTube as well. And also, if you're interested in streaming the audio, you can find it at that same website. It's streaming on all the platforms, but it's not the easiest to find because we called it The Event, and there are
dummies.
a lot of the events.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to get it is from that same website. You can find links to Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, all of them.
Yeah, and I know I've been listening to it on Spotify, and I will tell you one easier way I found it is if I type in your name, Michael Ray, and The Event with it brings it right up.
Okay, there you go.
So yeah, if you just type in The Event, yeah, you're right. You get like a ton of The Events. So,
Right.
But if you do The Event or Michael Ray, if you put Michael Ray in there anywhere, it comes right up. So.
Okay.
Be careful though, because there is a
Country singer.
country
Oh, there's a
singer.
country singer.
Pop
Does
country singer?
As long as he doesn't ever write a song called The Event.
or a musical journey, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Better not steal your idea
Yeah.
and your name.
Right. I heard he's coming out with a country single called Puppetitions.
Oh my gosh.
We're sunk.
All right, Michael, Dani, thank you so much for
Thank you
joining
so
us.
having us.
Keep a lookout for these guys. Look up Mr. Productions if you want to watch their short film of this musical, or look up all the tracks on whatever music platform that you listen to your songs with. But yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thanks again.
Thank you all for listening to our first musical-themed episode. I know the format was a little bit different, but it was a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you would like to continue to help us grow and you want more video content, please subscribe to the Gather by the Ghostlight channel on YouTube. And if you'd like to have some cool Gather by the Ghostlight merchandise, t-shirts are available at the merchandise link in the show notes. You can also find the Gather by the Ghostlight annual companion books available at Amazon. Intro and outro music, as always, is provided by artist JK47. And if you enjoy this podcast, maybe you're a longtime listener, or maybe this is the first episode you've ever heard, let us know. Please leave us a rating or a review in all the places that you can. You know, that kind of activity, it really does help us get discovered by more listeners like you. And also be sure to follow Gather by the Ghostlight on social media to stay up to date on new episodes. I'm Jonathan Cook, and as always, stay safe, and I'll see you next time we Gather by the Ghostlight.